I'm not programmed to bark, Master.
Hello and welcome to Dalek Doris and the Droids. I'm sure you all recognise this little character. This is K9 from the Doctor Who series and of course the Sarah Jane Adventures. A very, very popular little droid, and he's been involved in lots of different shows and exhibitions over the years, starting back in 2009 when my young son at the time wanted a little robot that he could drive around. So this was the first of 5 of the different robots which I've made, and he goes out and exhibits at different exhibitions and science fairs all over the UK. One of the most popular ones that we were involved in was at the Fleet Air Arm in Yeovil, and it was a thing called Invasion of the Daleks, and this one was there to support the Daleks, and we met many of the members from the Doctor Who film and series. As you can see from the videos that have been up previously, he does move around, he interacts with people, he talks, and we also have on the side of him as well, apart from the flashing lights on his ears, we also, thank you K9, you're going to turn around, he also has the display screen on the side. Like the rest of the robots that we have, he does work on wheelchair motors and he's fully radio controlled, so we can actually drive this young chap around the place. K9 has been very, very popular with the Comic-Cons and conventions that we've attended, and we've actually been there to support John Leeson, who is in fact the voice of K9 in Doctor Who. He's proved to be so popular that we were very, very fortunate that we actually went to Windsor at one stage, and we worked with Tom Baker, and we were very, very lucky in the respect. So if you want to come and have a quick look at K9's bum, you will actually see that because he's so popular, he has in fact been signed by John Leeson, who is the voice of K9 in Doctor Who and Sarah Jane Adventures, Bob Baker, who is the original designer creator of K9. We've got Matt Irvin, who owns the current K9, and we're very fortunate to work with him at the Leicester Space Centre. And our K9 is a direct replica of what he has got. But the most important one for us was Tom Baker. As you can see, we've got his autograph at the bottom end here. So yes, K9 is Tom Baker's dog, really, going back to his time on the Doctor Who thing. He's fully interactive, works off wheelchair motors, he's got all the push buttons and lights, he's got a display on the side, and his lights and his ears rotate as well. A very, very popular robot that really started the journey for us with the entertainment robots. And over the next few episodes, you'll be able to see our other robots that have been designed as well. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the next instalment of the entertainment robots. This is Dizzy the Droid, a steampunk R2 unit, which has been made for about 2 or 3 years now and is one of the most popular of the steampunk robots on the circuit with me. Based on an R2 unit, the chassis is identical to an R2, but with a slight difference that in this case we actually have the drive systems in the wheels, and they are two 24-volt motors which allow the robot to rotate and run around. He is interactive. He's obviously got the sounds which you could just hear, and he also has the chimney to make it sound as if it is like a steam engine or a steam train as it's running around. The idea or the concept is originally from Mark Enright, Podpad Studios. Big hats off to him as a very, very talented designer. But this one is actually mine. I built this one from scratch. And I built it from bits, recycled bits. The whole of this robot is recycled, from the dome down to the wheelchair motors, and all the bits and pieces are all scrap items which have been recycled and repurposed to make this rather engaging robot. If you have a look at the front end here, you'll see right in the middle is the heart of the droid. This is what gives the droid its personality. These are actually old radio valves and transmitter valves, and right in the bottom of them are small multicolored LED, and so this lights up the whole of the valve, and it gives it makes it look as if it's the heart and it's working and operating from there. It is completely electronically controlled, and so there is quite a complicated wiring system to ensure that this robot does work comfortably and reliably within a public environment. As you can see in the back, we use our standard motor controllers, which are the saber-tooth motor controllers, and a standard radio controlled system operating on 2.4 gigahertz. We prefer to leave all the control systems exposed like this so that people can see what the robot actually looks like. And above, right in this point here, we actually have the sound system, which allows the robot to sound as if it actually is a steam-powered machine. As you see at the back, we've also got Yoda sitting quite comfortably here, keeping himself warm around the chimney. As you can see, the chimney is smoking. But this smoke, it's not dangerous, it's actually water vapour. And it's done by using the small pond misters inside the bottom of the chimney. And to get this working, all we do is we top it up with water, and this will quite happily run and is safe to use in a public environment. The dome is new for 2020, and it is R2's recycled dome, and we've got the radio control system that will allow us to be able to rotate Dizzy's dome. The control system works on standard radio control system, 2.4 gig, very, very reliable, and this allows you to operate and move a robot around under complete control, and so that many other robots can be running at the same time and in close proximity without any interference from other transmitters. The nice thing about these is that there is automatic fail-safes, so that if at any stage there is any interference or we lose control from the transmitter, the robot does automatically go into shutdown procedure. This stems very much from the rules and regulations that we used to have when we were doing the fighting robots in the days of Robot Wars. The dome from the R2 unit is the new polished dome. This was from my original R2 unit, which you'll be able to see in one of the other units, and from this one it has obviously been colour changed and made a lot more steampunk style with a lot of the dome rotation, the panels actually being on the outside of the dome rather than being integral and actually part of it. One of the good things about this robot is that it does do a lot of charitable work. We do take it out to a lot of charity events, and we do raise money for juvenile diabetes. So, does it have a top speed? Well, in public environments we tend not to allow it to go too fast because there are other people around, and we also have to be able to operate it in a public environment and in a controlled environment, so that the whole thing is safe, and so that a lot of children get rather excited when they do get around it. He does quite have each robot does have its own personality, which makes it quite exciting, and we're looking forward to taking him out later on in the year. So that's Dizzy the robot, and then you'll be able to see the other parts of the other types of entertainment robots that we've got shortly. Thank you. Hi, and welcome to another installation of Dalek Doris and the droids. And here, as you can see, is a well-known and iconic robot, R2-D2, from the Star Wars movies. In fact, all of the Star Wars movies is featured in. This one is quite a well-known robot. 2,500 pieces installed in this robot, and over 2 years to actually make him. So it's quite a lot of work gone into this one. He's done quite a few Comic-Cons. He's a very well-travelled robot. In fact, he was involved with the UK government and Indian government at the trade exhibition in Delhi a couple of years ago. So this young man has travelled quite a bit, and it works very similar to the rest of our robots on a set of wheelchair motors, recycled obviously, and we're concentrating on the Sabertooth motor controller system once again, with a standard 2.4 gigahertz 6-channel mixer and receiver. His head obviously rotates, and if you have a look inside you can get a chance to see some of the inner workings of R2. Starts off with the kill switch for the 24 and 12 volt sections. He's got the switching radio receiver for switching the dome lights and for switching the feet lights, as well as coordinating the sound. The sound system comes through the standard programmable power amplifier with the usual R2 bleeps, pops and sounds. And if you look at the very top here, you'll be able to see that we've got the standard Sabertooth controller with the voltage level indicators, so we get a constant value of how much juice there actually is in R2 as he's running around. Another very reliable robot. He will quite happily run around for a couple of hours, and yeah, really good, reliable little thing. Once again, he's worked with quite a few of the actors from the Star Wars films. We're very lucky. He's worked with David Prowse, and we're very pleased to have Darth Vader sign our R2 unit. And if you actually come around the other side, one of the things we're really proud of, and we had an audience with Kenny Baker, who actually played R2 in the first series, the first films of Star Wars. And yeah, he was well chuffed with the way that the whole of this little robot was represented. And of course, Kieran Shah, who plays the stunt double for Kenny Baker in the Star Wars films. So there's our little R2 unit. This was the third in the series of robots that we built. K9 started it all off for us. Then we moved on to Doris, who we're going to be having an audience with a little bit later on. And then we moved on to BB-8. And so there's a little story coming from him shortly as well. Hello and welcome back to the latest of the series of the robots that I've built with Dalek, Doris and the droids. Here's our latest addition to the family. This is obviously you recognise from the Star Wars films. This is BB-8. This one, unlike the rest of these, does not move around. He is actually a static droid, but there's good representation of what the droid looks like from the Star Wars movie. Quite an unusual head on this one. In this case we've got casters with a motor system that allows the head to actually rotate on the body, and it has the usual sort of sound effects that people will be able to hear as it goes quite close to it. The dome is quite unique in the respect that is actually 3D printed. This is one of the first things that we've used as far as the technology is concerned, and it's worked out incredibly well. It's built into different sections. The whole lot has been glued together, and it's been actually seamed so that you can't actually tell that it's been made in different parts. Obviously the BB-8 colours are the bright orange, and this one has been also been given a bit of battle damage to make it look as if it's been through some really hard times out in the desert. The idea of this one is to make it a little bit more interactive so that he can stay as a static in the exhibitions. The intention is not to have this as a rolling robot, purely because of the time and effort etc. that goes into running just one of these robots. Incredibly labour intensive with all the gimbals and the motor drives within the inside of the robot. The body, very strong. It is actually a fiberglass sphere. It does split into two, so we can get to the inside and produce electronics and put electronics inside it. But in this case we do have screen transfers on the outside of the robot to give it its authentication. So there's the two from our Star Wars films. Hope you like it. This one hasn't been signed yet, but I'm sure at some stage he'll be taking part in some of the Star Wars Comic-Cons, and I'm sure we'll end up meeting some of the artists involved with it.